This is the big question of the month of March 2026. Who knows? But what I will tell you is a few things that we do know. Something interesting is happening with the Rolex Pepsi. Over the past few months, collectors and dealers have started noticing the same thing. The watch is getting harder and harder to find, and in some cases, allocations from authorized dealers seem to be slowing down, which that has been confirmed. So the question is simple. Is Rolex finally prepared to discontinue this generation of Pepsi? The Pepsi GMT Master II reference 126710BLRO isn't just another Rolex sports watch. It's one of the most recognizable watches the brand really has ever made. The red and blue bezel dates back to the original GMT Master from the 50s at mid-century, which Rolex designed for Pan Am pilots who needed to track multiple time zones during long flights, which we've talked about on this channel before. That color combination has been part of Rolex history for more than 60 years, so when something changes with the Pepsi, collectors notice immediately. Recently, a few things have started to stand out. Some authorized dealers have quietly been removing the Pepsi for allocation slots. It is still on Rolex's website as of today, though. Collectors online have been talking about fewer deliveries coming through, and in conversations within the industry, including watchmakers and service professionals, similar observations keep coming up. None of this confirms anything officially. Rolex hasn't officially confirmed it. But when enough people start noticing the same pattern, people start to pay attention. One reason this watch has always been difficult to produce comes down to the bezel. The red and blue ceramic bezel on the Pepsi is one of the most complicated components Rolex makes. It starts as a simple piece of ceramic, and then Rolex uses a very specific process to change part of the material from red to blue during the final firing stage. Getting those two colors to come out perfectly, which Rolex does a great job with, every single time isn't easy. And because of that, production has always been more limited than other GMT models. It's also worth remembering that Rolex has paused the Pepsi before. Back in the late 2000s, production stopped for several years while Rolex worked out the ceramic bezel technology. And when the Pepsi returned in 2018 with the new ceramic version and updated bracelet and movement and so on and so forth, demand exploded almost immediately. That history is part of the reason collectors are watching closely now. They've seen this story before. Whether collectors think a Rolex reference might be going away, the market tends to react quickly and tell the truth. For instance, the Submariner Hulk is a perfect example. When Rolex discontinued it in 2020, prices jumped overnight. Collectors rushed to secure the remaining examples. Same thing with the Yachtmaster II. And within a short period of time, the Hulk and Yachtmaster II became one of the most talked about modern Rolexes on the secondary market. The Hulk still has. People have kind of forgotten about the Yachtmaster II, but Pepsi will probably follow a similar path. Demand could increase quickly. But here's the interesting part. Most serious collectors don't rush to buy something just because of hype. What they look for is stability, history, and long-term significance. The Pepsi checks all three of those boxes. It's one of the few Rolex designs that has stayed relevant for decades without needing to change very much. From the dealer side of things, what usually happens in situations like this is supply quietly tightens. Fewer watches come through, fewer listings become available. It's less frequent on the wholesale side. And when clean examples do show up, they tend to move very quickly and at very high premiums. That's usually the first sign collectors pay attention to, is what the dealers see. So for now, the Pepsi GMT Master II remains one of the most important watches Rolex makes. But if production slows down or stops, this could end up being one of those moments collectors look back on. So let me talk about prices real quick. Last week, we had a returning client ask us for a Pepsi. He'd been asking for about a year and a half, but out of nowhere, he was ready to go. And I told him about this exact situation that was happening, and he didn't want to pay the already increased, hyped prices that Pepsi has. Say a year ago, I was quoting him low $20,000 for a Pepsi. And because of this exact situation, that exact example that he wanted was now mid to high 20s. So I actually saw a 2026 Pepsi listed wholesale for $35,000 last week, 35 grand. And it's sold wholesale. It's all over the place. It's ridiculous. You know, MSRP and gray market are about $10,000 apart, and it's continuing to creep up significantly. You're looking mid 20s to high 20s, possibly 30s right now. And I would advise everyone to not spend $30,000 on a Pepsi. But the market is the market, and the market will do what the market does. That's the price right now, and it's pretty crazy. But that's just the truth, and that's live data, and that's what we're seeing as dealers. But let me know what you think. Do you think Rolex is actually discontinuing the Pepsi, or is this just another shift in production to increase sales? Again, I'm Chris, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.